With 5 upperclassmen, how important is it for them to step up into a leadership role for their younger teammates?
Yeah, that's been a big thing that we have kind of addressed. With Lucas Huffman played number one for us for a long time, and that resulted in a big portion of leadership for him, and he had to take on a lot of roles and try to be a lot of, I think, like, there's different kinds of leaders, right? And he was kind of juggling trying to be a lot of those because a lot of the guys looked to him as that. And now, you're right, we have 5 guys that can jump in and do that, and they are. And so I've been working with those guys to give them different opportunities where they can be empowered and then work on some different leadership skills. But it's a new look and a new feel, and I like it. It's allowing the guys to, each of those upperclassmen is taking on roles that's kind of natural to them and that they're strong with, and even a couple of sophomores that are taking on little pieces here and there too. So I like where we are with that, and I think our team is responding well to that as well.
From your fall season, what kind of growth have you seen from your student athletes?
Yeah. I saw a lot of guys hitting and playing this off season. So I'm seeing specifically, it's usually freshmen that you see that big jump because it's one of the first times that they're just around people that can play tennis as much as they like, and our facilities are open all winter for them to do. So just there's a time when they start to look more like college players. Even okay. So I'm going to talk about a couple of freshmen. Well, maybe a few, but Ola Palmer has been playing a lot, and so he looks more and more solid. In the fall, we could see the talent, and now it's sometimes you see the talent in that the ball goes fast and it spins a lot, right? Or that they move well, things like that. But now it's fast, spins a lot, and goes in the court, and then he can move forward and hit volleys, and so that maturity and noticing how to play the game rather than just bringing the tools. Sean Osland is another one where he's been playing ball for us in the varsity lineup, and he's another one where you can see the talent. He plays like a guy that's he plays older than he is, and what I've noticed with him in terms of change from the fall to the spring is how much he's, rather than just doing what he's comfortable with, which used to be more staying at the baseline and being patient, now he's moving forward and trying to hit more volleys, and I can see him intentionally incorporating that. So those are just a couple of guys. Like I said, it's usually the freshmen. Another guy that's jumped up is Jeff Miller. He played with our number one guy right now, Cade Davis, all off season, and those guys, they hit probably more than anybody, and they were out there all the time. And so now Jeff is comfortable playing people that are playing at that number one level. And even Cade too, I saw him last year. He played number 2, and he could do it, but it was, you could tell he's like trying to swim at that level. Now he's playing number 1, and the match he played this weekend, he lost, but he looks like he can fill that role. Like, he looks like a number 1, and those guys put in the work to make it happen. And with Jeff playing that level, he's playing the other teams, and he is competing with those guys as well.
As a coach, how do you handle these early matches with the younger or more unproven players on your roster?
Yeah. Right now we only have 1 freshman playing in the lineup, so it's kind of nice, really, like returning all of the people that have the experience that you're working through matches, that I have that rapport with. When you coach players, you are talking tactics, but you're also kind of their bench psychologist a little bit, and so you figure out, some players want quicker conversations. Some players want to talk to me. Some players want to be left be at certain moments in the match, or they need different things. And so it's nice to have a lot of that back. But, even when they're playing practice matches, I'm doing what you're talking about, which is figuring out my younger players. If I'm watching a player in a practice match and they're kind of losing it a little bit, like getting frustrated, I'm seeing, okay, do they get it back themselves? Do they need my intervention? What kind of intervention? So just kind of learning the players like that, and also finding out what exactly they like to do in matches. What are they most comfortable with? What do they do when they're feeling confident, when they get nervous? Things like that.
You have a kind of abbreviated fall season with the chunk of your season in the spring. What are the different goals maybe between those two different segments?
Tell me more.
So do you
what
have
mean.
different goals for your fall and your spring, or is it all one and the same?
Yeah. I think that I head into the fall where you can't have as much patience. Really, you're going to, with a lineup in the fall, you're mostly going to roll with what you know. You know, if you've got a freshman that belongs in there, you find a spot for him and you hope it's close to correct. But for someone to take those spots away, sometimes from people that had them last year, right? Sometimes it's clear and it happens right away, but there's really not enough time for someone to earn that with their consistency over the fall. You mostly just roll with what you know, and then you enter them in tournaments, and again, those are kind of skill based in some ways. Like there's top level tournaments, and there's here's kind of the next one. And so you're placing them where you think, but they get to take on those challenges, and a lot of times those tournaments are such a good opportunity for them to show you where they're at, and that kind of gives you a taste of who you should be looking for to be your up-and-comers when the spring hits. In the spring, we want to place as high in the conference as we can. So our schedule right now is tough, and admittedly, it can be hard to lose some of these matches early, and as I'm making this schedule a year ahead of time, trying to calibrate who's going to push us, but not so much that it's not a good use of our time to go and play them. But our record's not good right now, but it's because we're trying to go and get better. If you all could see how well we play against a top team versus a team that we're going to hammer, you would know it's better for us to spend more time competing at the level that we are competing at right now, playing these difficult opponents, than it is for us to just go collect wins. I can make you a schedule where we get 20 wins, but I don't need to do that. It doesn't make us better, and it doesn't make us place higher in the conference. So spring goals, yeah, it's not that it's all about the end, but it's the process that we are doing right now will get us what we want in the end. And we don't really have that to think about in the fall. In the fall, we're thinking about right now because it's so quick.
It is a long season, like you were talking about, the start that you've had. How do you keep your team motivated throughout the entire season to stay focused on that end goal?
Yeah. I think we do take it one weekend at a time. Most of our competitions on the weekend, and they know, especially the upperclassmen, they know what's coming and how this helps because they've seen it before. I think that if these were all new players to our program, they might be frustrated right now. I think that these guys, while they will feel it, they're going to have patience because they've seen it work. And even in these meets that we're losing, as I'm watching and they're playing, you feel success because they're not losing 6-0, 6-0 in every match. They're close in a lot of these, and it's sometimes they can walk off the court and you got to give them a few minutes because nobody wants to lose. But then you come to them and say, look at the player that you just pushed to that brink. This is your level that you can be at, and let's just, as we keep moving forward, we just see that becomes just more and more normal for them. Another thing is that as we head into each weekend, they kind of know what to expect. Tennis is kind of predictable sometimes in that the scoring it's hard to upset people. And so they kind of know we lost to Lake Forest, but we're probably supposed to lose to Lake Forest. But if you look within, like I said, you can see people didn't, you might not realize how much how talented the guys are. Another one, Superior, we lost 3-6. Well, the coaches that I've talked to since, wow, that's a good score with them. They're really talented. So I think that especially with the returning players we have, that they have the perspective that they need. Okay. Now, I do need to continue to point out the good and give them opportunities to have fun together and things because, yeah, it's a long season, and especially right now we're inside. Once we get outside, it also gets easier because everyone likes to be outside in the sun,
You talked about those tournaments and the two gentlemen, Cade Davis and Jeff Miller, Midwest Open, Flight B champions. Is that a point of pride for your program so far?
Yeah, I loved that tournament. So the Midwest Open is there's an ITA tournament and then there's another tournament that still has a lot of really good players in it. And we, Jeff and Cade, making it all the way to the finals, and then they fell to a Luther team, but making it all the way to the finals was, I don't know that they expected that and that they realized how good they were, and they took down a bunch of teams that are, the quality of teams that we'll see in our conference. And so they've been playing number one doubles for us, and again, they've been having some success in how they're competing with these teams. So yes, it was a point of pride to come away from that tournament with some hardware is big. And even, the other doubles teams that we had, they also, I think they each won 2 or 3 matches in that tournament. And so to have guys advancing to the second day, it just felt really good leaving that tournament knowing that I've got doubles teams that can win. And it's not that they're taking on teams that, I don't know, like I said, that will be varsity doubles teams in our conference and that they're winning.
Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.